Okay, so this is the installation of our telescoping legs, or our long legs, and our larger pads or fat feet. So the fat feet will work with either these legs or the standard legs. So all you need to install them is a pair of circlip pliers and a couple of 14mm spanners or sockets. If you've got a machine with a few hours on it, mine's got 500, there'll be plenty of grease there, so you may want a suitable drift to knock the pins out. This is just a Cat 1 pin. I'm going to use punch. If you don't have those, a Cat 1 pin is perfect, or a 1/2 inch socket extension works quite well as well. Some paper towels to clean the grease off, and maybe some gloves to keep it off yourself. Okay, so we'll take you through installing the fat feet on the backhoe. If you're going to be installing the long legs as well, you still need to do this step and remove the pin, because we need the pin for the installation of the longer legs. So all we do here is, you'll see on this side we have a flat side, and on the other side is the side that you've got your grease nipple on. You want to remove the pin, or the circlip rather, from the side that doesn't have the grease nipple, because if we need to bang it out with a drift, you're not banging on the grease nipple. So once you've got the circlip off, I like to just give it a bit of a clean. I've already cleaned this one, so that's done. Then you just push your pin out. If it's got, this one's already been pre-cleaned, if it's got plenty of grease, you may need a drift of some kind. This is a Cat 1 pin, just give it a couple of taps. Alternatively, using a drift, same thing, just give it a bit of a tap, out it'll come. So remove your pin. This has already been cleaned, so give it a good wipe down. As I said, I've already wiped this down before, so it'll be full of grease, and you want to get this pin so that if we focus in on that little hole, that little hole is nice and clean, and you're not putting any contaminants back in when you do the reinstall. Now if you're keeping the original legs and just installing the feet, what I like to do is get in here, clean out all the old grease, get all your contaminants out. Again, this one's been cleaned before, so there's not much grease in there. And so when we reassemble, we're putting nice fresh grease, we're not pushing dirt and stuff back through. So old pad away, taking the new pad and our pin. We're using we've got one end with the grease nipple and the circlip still on it, and the other side. So put the grease nipple to the rear of the tractor, makes it a hell of a lot easier for greasing the tractor. So you're coming in with the grease gun from this side, not from this side. So put the pad on, insert your pin, grab your circlip, reverse of before, put the circlip on, and just make sure that when you do it, that your circlip is clicked into the groove. Add some grease and you are done. Alright, so installing our long legs. We have got the pin that we previously removed, taking off the original pads. And if you're using whether you're using the original pads or the larger pads, we'll need to put that pin back in. So the first thing we need to do is disconnect the hydraulic ram. Now, same as before, I'm going to remove the circlip from the rear so that we're not tapping on the grease nipple. And just as before, give that a bit of a wipe down, get the grease off it. We don't want all that old grease going into the groove when we install it later on. and depending on how much grease, same as before, you may need to tap this pin out. I've already had this out previously and cleaned it up. So we remove the pin and just lower the original leg and the ram to the ground and give this a nice clean up. Clean all the stuff out. Same as before, make sure your pin is nice and clear and give it a clean. You'll notice that the pin for the ram is quite a bit shorter than the one for the legs, so just take note of that for later on the install. An additional step to make your life easier is if you grab the ram and just put a bungee strap on it, just to hold it up, to keep it out of your way. It's good, you can use any old bit of rope or whatever you like. The next thing we need is a pair of 14mm spanners or sockets, and we need to remove the pivot pin. So the first thing is to get the 14mm bolt removed, and I've already loosened this one off. The spanner from behind, undo it, and remove that for later. So just put that back together and goes on our table. So same as before, removing this pin, you shouldn't need a drift for that. You'll be able to just rotate this around enough to grab it and pull it out, taking this pin out. And as before, clean this up. Remove all your excess grease and contaminants. A nice clean. And get in here, clean off your excess, front and back. You'll have plenty of grease hanging around here. Couple of towels. Doesn't have to be spotless, but just remove all your contaminants. The main thing we're looking for is to see the shiny surface on the backhoe itself. The more you remove, the longer all your parts are going to last. So that's our old leg in comparison to the lower half of our new leg. The main difference you'll see is that we've got the telescoping end, but the mounts are identical. So taking our new leg and the original lower pin. Alright, so inserting the leg with the pin, rotate that around until the holes line up. We take our bolt, our original bolt. I like to put the bolt in from the rear, but you can do it either way around. This way, when I'm doing my inspections, the nut's on the outside, and as I'm inspecting the tractor, if this ever comes loose, I'll see it in the nut, or if the nut ever comes off, I'll know it's missing. So again, your 14mm spanners, just knit this guy up. That's the lower leg install. So lining up your ram, pop our pin through, take our circlip and reinstall it on the back side. Again, making sure that you have your circlip all the way into the groove and it's located properly. We'll come back and grease these later. So that's the main part of the leg. Now, telescoping section, go straight in, drop that to the bottom, and the same install of the large foot We can put either the large foot or the small foot on it, depending on what you purchased. I'm going to install the large feet. Pin going through with the grease nipple on the outside. And reinstalling our circlip. So you go through the same procedure as this on the other side to install the leg and feet, and then we'll come back and give them a grease.